Hey there everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. I'm Andy Curtis, and we all know when we're recreating here in the great outdoors of Montana, you need to be prepared. That means if you're on the water, wear a life jacket. If you're out on the trails, bring bear spray. But what do you do if you're spending time in town or even your own home? Well, these next couple of stories show us that here in Montana, you can never really let your guard down.
We've all done it. The clock strikes midnight, your stomach starts grumbling, and all you can really think about is that chip bag up in the cupboard. But imagine your surprise if the culprit you came upon poking around in your kitchen wasn't a member of your family or even your species.
Well, that's exactly what Michelle Thomas experienced around 2:30 a.m. on Monday the 15th. Thomas was prompted to get out of bed after hearing a glass jar fall to the ground. What she saw next, as she stepped out of her bedroom, froze her in place.
I froze. Yeah, I didn't want to make any sound, and I decided to go back to my room and scare him from behind a closed door. So we just went back in my room and made as much noise as I could make.
A large bear, most likely black bear, was helping himself to some snacks right outside Thomas's bedroom. As she began making noise from inside her bedroom, Michelle woke her husband up in the process and said the only thing you can really say in that moment.
There's a bear in the house, really.
After enough time, they figured the bear had been scared off and made their way back into the kitchen area.
Yeah, I eventually decided to venture out and walk through the house and make sure he went out the way he came, and he did.
Thankfully, the only casualties of the bear breaking through the window were a couple screens, a couple scratches on the wood, and a lost bit of kettle corn, bread, and grapes. Thomas says that she called Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks first thing the next morning.
We did set up a trap there at that residence and left it there for 3 nights. We did not capture a bear, and a bear was not seen again at the residence.
Thomas said that they had had a busy weekend and had had a grill outside along with a bird feeder. That, plus some open windows with food inside, may very well have attracted the bear to the house.
And they suggested taking down bird feeders and putting away the grill and the smoker and, getting rid of and then lock up.
The sources for most of the conflicts that we see for bears in residential areas are garbage and bird feeders and just similar attractants.
Jacobson says that this time of year is especially important to be vigilant of bears and what may attract them.
So remember to be bear aware as bears get prepared for winter, and keep food and garbage locked up and out of sight and smell. Reporting in Helena, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
The huckleberries just aren't showing up like normal, and so that could lead to increases in bears getting down low looking for food.
Fish, Wildlife, and Park spokesman Dylan Tavish says dozens of calls are coming in daily regarding black bear and grizzly sightings in urban settings in Flathead County.
It's when these bears continually get their food rewards from coming back and finding food attractants that they learn that bad behavior, where they become food conditioned and they no longer go out into the mountains looking for food. They learn that they need to come around people to get food, and we don't want that to happen.
Tavish says a small berry crop in the mountains this summer has led to an increase in bear activity down below.
He says now is the time to reduce, secure, or remove food sources from your property.
Whether it's garbage, chickens, barbecues, or right now, domestic fruit trees. If you have a fruit tree in your yard and it's going to be dropping apples onto your grass, you want to pick those up.
Tavish says bears are active along creek and river corridors this time of year. A popular hangout is along the Flathead River in Columbia Falls.
Those are areas where wildlife will move around a little bit more. So if you're in one of those areas, maybe just be a little extra mindful that wildlife could be coming up and down through those corridors.
Columbia Falls School District Superintendent Dave Wick says parents should be mindful of bear activity in their neighborhoods.
I guess the biggest recommendation we'd have is probably not send your child out alone to go to the bus stop or come to school. Have them have a sibling, older sibling, or a buddy to go with would probably be the best thing we can tell.
Tavish says reporting urban bear sightings to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks immediately is a great first step in avoiding conflicts.
That's why if we get a conflict call right off the bat, that helps us address that situation as quickly as we can, and then hopefully either move that bear away from you, or hopefully if you remove those attractants, it's going to naturally fix itself.
In Kalispell, Sean Wells, MTN News.
Now here's something you don't see every day, a neighborhood rattled by rattlesnakes. Multiple sightings have been reported in this part of Laurel near 8th Avenue and 12th Street, and it has many concerns. But it's also that time of the year when sightings are more common. If you've ever had a run-in with a rattlesnake, this is a sound you'll never forget. And for the many parents who live in this Laurel neighborhood, it's become way too familiar.
Rattlesnakes in a residential area is quite concerning, and the amount in such a short amount of time has been a concerning situation for sure.
Lindsay lives along 8th Avenue and 12th Street, a block that's seen not one or two, but close to a dozen rattlesnake encounters in recent weeks. In some cases, right outside homeowners' front doors.
That's what's kind of scary too, is if they're out in plain view, then are there more hiding too?
They're here somewhere. I just don't know why they're here now.
Right.
I think right now it concerns our whole family.
With lots of kids in the neighborhood, these slithery sightings are understandably creating a buzz. But Jeff Ewell with Zoo Montana says encounters this time of the year are to be expected.
It's been hot. I mean, we certainly are in the dog days of summer, and that heat obviously is going to bring them out. That's going to get them more active, looking for their prey.
Ewell said there's not much you can do to keep the snakes away, but he does recommend folks in this neighborhood wear more clothes than they might this time of year.
A couple things to keep in mind with rattlesnakes that you really want to be mindful of is prepare. If you're walking in heavy brush, make sure you wear some jeans and some heavy shoes.
For the kids, it's definitely changed the end of their summer.
Usually they can just run around and do what they want to do, especially in the backyard, but that's not the case, especially with a rattlesnake.
And many are hopeful that the problem will soon be resolved.
So hopefully the community can come together and try to find out why they're moving.
In Laurel, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Luckily for us, not all wildlife interactions here in Montana require the use of bear spray. And in these next couple of stories, we'll show you how a few animals have even taken the job of animal ambassador to us humans. MTN's Owen Skornick-Hayes has our story.
Raptors in Great Falls.
That's a good guess, because raptors are a type of dinosaur too, right?
Not dinosaurs, but falcons, hawks, and eagles. These birds of prey made their way to the stage at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center.
Well, there's 5 to 6 different categories of raptors here in Montana.
We were giving 3 back-to-back presentations on raptors in general, and I brought 2 of our ambassador birds up so that they had a live bird to look at, talking about, the differences in the groups of raptors, what a raptor is, what they eat, and kind of just general knowledge, stuff like that.
Allie Pons has traveled with her feathered friends around central Montana for educational purposes.
Being able to educate the public and get people passionate about our wildlife and the outdoors is something that I really enjoy doing.
These birds of prey are known as ambassadors.
So what's one thing that you notice between these two that they have in common?
It is essentially, for our purposes, a bird that was in rehabilitation that was not allowed to be released. And we go through a training process with them, and then they end up being able to be ambassadors for their species and educate the public.
So that makes these birds the perfect educational material.
The people's reaction, especially to the live birds, where they're just kind of in awe, that's where you've got them hooked, right? And I always love hearing where you've got expert birders, right, that come to these programs, and when they come up and say that they've learned something new, that always makes me feel good. And on top of the 2 birds that I brought today being really stellar education birds and program goers, they're also ones that you can see in Great Falls. So having that be relatable of, they can go out and they can actually, see a Swainson's hawk as they're out and about, or they can see a kestrel. I really feel like that helps tie it in.
From Great Falls, Owen Skornick-Hayes, MTN News.
Billings has a ton of natural parks you can visit around the city, like Cameron Park here on Rimrock Road. And you might not have known it, but nestled in some of these parks are fireflies and what could be a whole new species of them.
I'm getting like a little bit of it. If you look closely, you can see the glittering lights of western fireflies, a type of firefly that scientists are still learning much about.
They got incredibly dense, and it was just like little sparks everywhere, and they probably covered about a 7-acre area.
Marian Lyman-Kirst is an entomologist for Northern Rocky Mountain Research and Educational Services.
We were able to identify the genus of this particular firefly. We think it's a Photurus.
Thanks to some tips of sightings from Billings residents, she and Parks and Rec City Forester Steve McConnell have been researching these fireflies in the city since last year.
What we're trying to do is generate enough interest from scientists who specialize in these animals to maybe come here or to send them some live specimens so that they can determine species.
Marian says there's a chance that these western fireflies in Billings can be a completely new species. These particular ones are found in marshy wetland habitats, often in wet grassy strips near irrigation ditches.
Some of our city parks that have these habitats are really important because they could be playing host to, these amazing populations of fireflies.
And it's a little late in the season to catch them in action. These fireflies are active from late May to early July, and folks are encouraged to check out these beetles in smaller groups from around 9:30 to 11:30 at night. You don't have to go very far to see them in season.
In Billings, we have 30 different natural area parks, so there are places you can go. You don't have to leave the city boundaries to just relax and experience nature.
Some of these natural parks are Phipps, Riverfront, and Meadowlark Park, and you won't just find fireflies.
Frogs, I saw a snake the other day. At Riverfront Park one time I saw a moose. I see foxes at several of different of our parks.
But if you do happen to catch fireflies in season, Marian encourages folks to document their findings.
Get online and find some projects that are documenting western fireflies and submit a sighting. And they can do that pretty easily online through some web portals.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Stick around, everybody, because when we come back, we'll take a look at the sweet science that is antelope archery hunting. There's plenty more to come here on MTN Outdoors after this.
Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Sometimes I think we forget just how good we have it here in Montana. People come from all over the world to hunt our big game species. But if you're asking me, the one that's easiest to find is also the hardest to hunt with the bow and arrow.
At first glance, the wide open spaces that span our state can look as empty as the surface of the moon. But for the lucky archery hunters who have an antelope tag, that couldn't be further from the truth. Grab a good pair of binoculars, and their silhouette can betray them pretty quickly against the backdrop of barbed wire and prickly pear. Just because you can pick them out, though, don't start thinking you can easily pick them off. Getting close enough to make your archery tackle effective isn't a walk in the park.
Yeah, these guys are athletes.
Products of a different time, the current antelope evolved to survive alongside and hopefully just a little out in front of predators like the now extinct American cheetah.
Pronghorn can run at speeds easily over 35 miles an hour, and some reports have them going as fast as 60.
Speed is the least of a hunter's worries, though.
Their eyesight has been compared to be roughly the equivalent of a human looking through an 8-power binocular. Their eyes are set to the side of their head, and what that gives them is a wide range of view. They can see about 300 degrees around without having to turn their head.
And if you find those facts interesting, get ready to have your mind blown, because these animals are not even actual antelope. If this piece of information comes as a shock to you, don't feel too bad about it. You're not the first person to make that mistake.
Even the legal definition of this animal is that it's classified as an antelope. And the reason why people probably originally started calling it an antelope is if you compare it to some of the African antelope, they look very similar. They can easily be, transposed pretty easily just on their appearance alone. But they are a pronghorn. They're a different creature. The headgear that they have is not like a bighorn sheep. A bighorn sheep has a horn, and it is persistent. It stays there. It continues to grow for its entire length of its life. It's not like an antler. And so pronghorn are different in that they have a horn sheath, but they do shed it annually, and they regrow the sheath every year.
So speed and sight make hunting these very unique creatures during archery season an uphill battle to say the least. But if you're looking for a challenge and willing to put in the miles, the pursuit can be rewarding.
A lot of people really don't have the opportunity to really connect with kind of the wildlife experience that you have when you're pursuing things at that time of the year.
Even if it ends with an empty freezer, which is more than likely.
One thing we know is that the proportion of hunters that are successful in actually harvesting an antelope really an awful lot lower for archers than it is for rifle hunters.
But you know what they say, it's called hunting, not getting.
A deer feeds in a field and hears a faint crack. Could this be a predator? Maybe it's just a bird, or maybe it's something that wasn't even there. In response to predation, prey have developed various physiological and behavioral traits. Of these, vigilance is a key way to avoid being eaten. By being alert, the animals will likely notice a predator before being attacked. In situations where predators aren't around for a large time frame like years, you would expect prey to be much less vigilant. But a new study used an innovative approach to study vigilance of black-tailed deer on 2 predator-free islands. Surprisingly, deer use a significant amount of time being vigilant. Vigilance levels during the day were similar to those observed in studies where predators were actually present. These levels were higher than those observed in elk in Yellowstone when wolves were not present. Yellowstone is of course the place where wolves were once extinct and then later reintroduced. Despite the fact these deer are in an area of no predators, the fear of predators is still in their genes, and therefore they are being vigilant for something that's not even there. A ghost of predators past. This vigilance could be caused by human disturbance. Much like most wildlife behaviors, we must account for the roles people play in our ecosystem. Although there may not be any real risk, this can provoke increased vigilance in some animals. This behavior of being more cautious is likely under strong selection pressure, meaning that genes attributed with vigilance stay within the population for generations and doesn't get weaned out quickly. This is because the cost of carrying that trait is relatively low. It takes little effort to be alert, just in case, so the trait has stayed. This study showed that the deer at the study site may abandon clear feeding opportunities when exposed to wolf urine, yet these deer have never even seen or interacted with a wolf in their entire life. Wolves became locally extinct in the 20th century in Europe and North America, but are currently recolonizing certain areas, many of which have seen a recent and dramatic increase in abundance of deer and elk, together with associated vegetation and biodiversity changes. Studies are therefore critical for understanding how the foraging and anti-predator behavior of animals might have changed in the absence of wolves. In Missoula, Tanner Saw, MTN News.
And pretty soon there'll be more of Montana for us all to enjoy. That's because the proposed Snowy Mountain Wildlife Management Area is close to becoming a reality.
In August, the Montana Fish and Wildlife Commission unanimously approved the purchase of a 5,600-acre property about 20 miles south of Lewistown. But the project must still receive final authorization from the Montana Land Board at their September meeting and wouldn't be open for public use until at least 2023.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody. Here at MTN Outdoors, we don't just focus on hunting and fishing stories. We also like to shine a light whenever we get an opportunity to on the men and women who make their living outdoors. And no job that takes place outside is more important than our farmers and ranchers. But unfortunately, this job that is vital to all of us comes with a very heavy price. MTN's Ryan Gamboa has more.
Mental health in America is no longer a crisis. It's a chronic systemic problem. And for agriculture producers, many factors come into play in terms of stressors, varying from the weather to inflation or world events that affect supply and demand. All mental health cases differ, but are similar that there is help for those who feel that life is weighing them down.
Therapists who are working with us that are supporting the farmers and ranchers who call, we actually identified them and recruited them based on their own backgrounds in farming and ranching.
Eric Arzubi is the CEO of Frontier Psychiatry. They've partnered with the Montana Department of Agriculture.
We deliver virtually or over video, which allows us to provide and deliver that care pretty effectively to any corner of the state.
Montana is leading the U.S. in suicide rates. Senator John Tester understands the stress that comes with farming.
Cost of seeds too much, cost of inputs too high, cost of that combine's too much. Look, all that stuff is manageable, but you got to have somebody, sometimes you got to have somebody to help you get through it.
In a study done by the University of Iowa, between 1992 and 2012, the suicide rate among farmers is 3.5 times higher than the general population. In perspective, Montana has approximately 50,000 ag producers. 20%, equaling 10,000, struggle with mental health through anxiety and depression. 5% of them at 2,500 suffer from severe mental illness that includes suicidal behavior.
Our topography has something to do with that.
Sydney Blair is the CEO of Many Rivers Whole Health.
Mountainous areas, it has to do with sunlight, shorter seasons.
In her eyes, isolation is a major factor in ag mental health crises.
So not being outside as much is, for our farmers and ranchers, can have an impact on how they feel.
The topography of the virtual program put in place by Frontier and the Department of Agriculture is simple.
Pledged to do and are committed to doing is making this an easy experience for people who need help. After all, that's what we should be doing in healthcare, especially mental health care.
It's paid off. Since the initial launch, they've received 5 to 6 new patients each month, ranging from regular conversation to prescribing medication.
For example, I struggle with anxiety and I take medication for anxiety. But I think it's important for me to be able to share that because it's just a fact of life. It's a fact of my life. It's a fact of many people's lives.
So if their bias is that they're going to just try to put me on a medication, they have choices about that.
But if you get to a point where it becomes overwhelming, you got to go talk to somebody. If it's not your spouse, if it's not your best friend, find somebody to talk to because I'm telling you, if you can talk about this stuff, you can find that there are ways to get through it.
To make your appointment with Frontier Psychiatry, you can visit our website. In Great Falls, Ryan Gamboa, MTN News.
That should just about do it for us here this week at MTN Outdoors. Thanks for spending some time with us. And remember, if you have any outdoor stories whatsoever, they don't even have to be good. Send me an email at andy.curtis@ktvh.com. And until next week, stay safe, and I'll see you out there.